Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nur Maulana Shah Rahim al-Hussaini Hazrat Imam Tawfiq Taid Himmat wa Yari Maula Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal maula wa ni'mal nasir Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal maula wa ni'mal nasir Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal maula wa ni'mal nasir Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal maula wa ni'mal nasir Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal maula wa ni'mal nasir Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal maula wa ni'mal nasir Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal maula wa ni'mal nasir Ya Maula Meherban, be the light on the tongue of the Nachis. Ya Maula, Ya Maula, Ya Mushkil Kusha, Meherban Maula. Madad Farma, Madad Farma. Shukranillah, Alhamdulillah. Once again, Ya Ali Madad to all friends. Today, we will continue with our Farman. This is the Farman we are doing, November 9th, 1899. And we have to start from the last page here. Let's say Salawat Allahumma salli ala Muhammadi wa ali Muhammad. મોમિન ને લાજમ તથા વાજબ છે કે મગરિબ વખતે હંમેશા દુઆ પढ़વા હાજર થાય. જેઓ જમાતખાનામાં દુઆ પढ़વા હાજર થાય છે તેમના વિશે મોટો ફાયદો છે. Those Momineen who gather in Jamaat Khana for dua, Maula says that I'm very pleased with them. Attendance in Jamaat Khana, Maula has always given us Faramin, even Shah Rahim also mentioned that. So we have to understand that attendance in Jamaat Khana, saying our prayers in congregation is very important. મા બાપની એ ફરજ છે કે પોતાના બાળકને ઇસ્માઇલી દીનની તાલીમ લેવા જમાતખાનાની સ્કૂલમાં મોકલે. Maula is emphasizing that the parents are expected, they are supposed to take their children to REC so they can learn in the school of, Jamaat Khana, meaning REC. So they have to learn the Ismaili Deen from RECs. ઇસ્માઇલી દીન ભાઈ સિવાય બીજે કોઈ પાસેથી દીનની તાલીમ નહીં લેવી જોઈએ. Do not seek the knowledge of our deen from others. Now, this is a very, very important teaching because, see, it has been bold by the person who has translated it, that we should not be seeking our Dini knowledge from others. There are people in Jamaat who will listen to Hindu Bhagat. There are people who would be very impressed by somebody else, saying or giving tributes to Imam from others, or writing about our deen, Mullah Maulvi praising our deen. We need to understand that why our deen is the true deen-e-haq. We do not need others to praise it, and we would be impressed by others. The most important thing is that we need to know ourselves and have this, ilmul yaqeen, certainty of knowledge to be able to say, and then go into anul yaqeen with, certainty of eyes to be able to see and realize that, yes, our deen is deen-e-haq. Now, when we come to the context of our children learning and needing the talim from young age, yes, it has to be RAC, it has to be parents, it has to be members of the Jama'at. They cannot be learning from outside. They cannot be, attending any other classes in the sense to learn about their deen. There are very many parents in West who now would like to teach their children Quran, and most of the time, it happens that we hire people from outside to teach our children Quran. Those teaching sessions has to be supervised because we cannot expect anyone to um, just follow the teachings of the Quran in tanzili form. Tawil of the Quran, it is only and should only be taught by our dini members. We read the books of our dini scholars, smiley scholars, and we teach our children according to what our smiley scholars are saying. We have very many books from our smiley scholars now. Alhamdulillah, due to IIS, we have so many books, and we have books of Allama Sahib, Allama Hunzai. We have knowledge of our Dini Tariqa, and we have to make sure that our children are learning from smiley scholars. Not the TV, not the media, any other speaker is teaching them about our deen. This is extremely crucial. I do not know how to emphasize, but we have to really, really understand. There are some countries where they have to attend religious classes in school, like, children attending Christian schools or, other countries, and they're forced to study. And it's okay. They study, that's okay. But when they come home, they have to be taught about our deen. And again, being living in Western countries, our parents, our young parents, do they know about the deen so they can teach their children? If they don't, they need to also learn. Remember the Imam, what Imam said, that it is the responsibility of the parents to take them to the REC. They will only take them to REC when they will realize the importance of them getting knowledge from our school, REC. And if they don't know themselves, they also need to learn. So they can make the environment of the home in such a way that our children are growing in a smiley family with smiley concepts, smiley beliefs. Otherwise, the roots are not set properly. So it is extremely important that we should be taking knowledge from Ismaili teachers and Ismaili scholars. જેમ એક યહૂદી નસારા સુન્ની શિયા હિન્દુ વગેરે પોતાના ધર્મની તાલીમ પોતાના જ માણસો પાસેથી લઈએ છે. Then Mola is giving an example. They take the example of a Jew or Nasara or Sunni or Shia. They will also study from their own scholars. Why would we not follow that? We also have to have that understanding. So sometimes, it is generally seen that somebody will get impressed by some other writers and they would read them and refer them, but not our smiley scholars. So what is the benefit in doing that? It is nadani, nothing else. Now, when we are presenting outside, in interfaith families or, outside, and if we are referring to other books, that makes sense. But when we are teaching our own children, why would we teach them from outside books? It doesn't make sense. It should not be done because it is na farman bardari. I have to use these words. These are harsh, but this is what Imam's farman is. So we have to understand we should not be teaching our children from any outside teachers, but our smiley scholars, smiley teachers. Then Imam is guiding us, Jama'at amaru badan che, tema kai dukhe to amne wasmo lage che. Tamara potama adawat hoy te amne wasmo lage che. Now this is very, very difficult farman to read and understand and explain. The Imam is giving us, sharing with us that whenever we in Jamaat, there is disunity, there are problems or conflicts. Imam says that makes me unwell, that makes me sick. As if we as Jamaat, we are his body. And when, parts of the bodies are not working right, not working well, it will give pain, inflammation. And Imam is saying that when you have conflicts within you, when you have disunity, it is, adawat, meaning disunity. Imam feels it in his body. Tame amaru ang છો, તેથી તમારામાં અદાવત હોય તો અમારા અંગમાં એજા થાય છે. Whenever you all are like my body, whenever you have, animosity in your heart for each other, it hurts me. It hurt, like gives me physical symptoms. It gives me physical pain. જેમ અમારું માથું દુખે અથવા અંગમાં બીજા કોઈ દુખે તેમ વસમું લાગે છે. Imam is further explaining, giving example that just like the way, one would have headache or, body aches, exactly in the same way, Imam says that it hurts me. When we as Jama'at have disunity or we fight or have animosity within ourselves. જમાતમાં ખરાબી હોય તેમાં કુલ જમાતને નુકસાન પહોંચે છે. બે જણ ખરાબ હોય તો આખી જમાતને નુકસાન પહોંચે છે. Then Imam is giving us this farman that if there is some negativity, kharabi can be in any sense, being bad to worse, right? Any kind of animosity, conflicts, disunity, fights, whatever it is, if it is present in Jamaat, the effect of it reaches Imam's body. If there are two people in Jamaat who are negative or wrong, the hurt of it, the pain of it, reaches the whole Jamaat. And we need to understand when Imam is saying that we are being the Jamaat, we are his part of his body. And it hurts him because we are hurting. Whenever there is disunity, of course, whatever the reasons are, one party may be correct, one party may be wrong. We don't want to go into that example. But there is conflict, there is pain, and it reaches Imam's physical being. And we have to really realize that do we want to hurt Imam or do we want to please Imam? So whenever in Jamaat there is this division, this disunity, it hurts Imam. So imagine, like, what else should we say to understand this part that we are hurting our beloved Imam? I would like to share my slides. All right, so the points to reflect from this farman is our deen is hakikati deen, our deen is batni deen, and we have to understand that Imam is giving us hidayat to be, giving attendance in Jamaat Khana. We have evening time Jamaat Khana. If Jamaat can keep up with evening attendance or morning time Jamaat Khana, whatever one can do with all the limitations today's time we live in, Mawla is desiring us to be regular in Jamaat Khana. And we heard Shah Rahim saying the same things, right? Responsibility of parents being, again, attending Jamaat Khana with their children and giving them taaleem of deen. Giving them the taaleem of deen. Next slide, please. And attendance in REC. Attendance in REC. And then the last part, do not take knowledge from others about our deen. Do not take knowledge from others about our deen. And then we need to look at the Quranic verse 36/12. And when we say this verse in our dua, وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ, what it means that everything is encompassed in Imam. So in reality, in the light of Quran, when we study this, we will realize that the whole world is actually like a universal body of Imam. And the whole, the soul of Imam is the soul of the world. And the intellect of Imam is the intellect of the world, in a sense that everything is encompassed within Imam. So there's this concept of universal body, universal soul, universal intellect, and it is actually Imam. Physically, we see Imam just like us, but in reality, within his being, everything is encompassed. That's what this Quranic verse teaches us. So we have to realize that When Imam says that when Jamaat has conflict, it hurts Imam's being. So if we were to go into Quranic verses, we will know that the whole thing is encompassed within Imam. And within the Jamaat, who's most beloved, right? We are his beloved children. Imam is Imam Nas and Imam is Imam al-Muttaqeen. When he says Muttaqeen, meaning the righteous one, those who are close to him. And when we have conflict with close family members, or family members who we love the most, how much does it hurt us? So imagine that we are talking about a family. Jamaat is a family. Though we are in large numbers, but for Imam, it is like a close, beloved family members, my children, Mola says. And when we fight among ourselves, it leads to pain in Imam's body. So this is such a harsh farman in the sense that we have to realize and tell me, reflect and tell me, do we fight among ourselves? Do we have disunity in Jamaat? So, we have to reflect on that, because if we were to talk about this more, it's just going to hurt us. And the objective is to work on it. Look at Imam Shah Karim's Faramin. There are farmans about unity in family, unity in Jamaat, especially this farman of Karachi, Pakistan, Karimabad, October 27, 2000. I'm going to read this farman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Inshallah, in the years ahead, our institution will grow. The quality of their work will improve. This will have an impact on the quality of life of the Jamaat and of people amongst whom you live. But I want to repeat today that discipline, wise management of your time and your resources, unity in the family, unity in the Jamaat, good relations with other communities and other institutions. These are the fundamental principles on which my Jamaat should live and work in the future. And remember that these principles of generosity, of brotherhood amongst yourselves, amongst the wider Jamaat, amongst the people of whom you live, these are fundamental principles of Islam. So not only unity in our family, unity in our Jamaat, good relation with Jamaat, and then people outside Jamaat. Imam is Imam Nas. But remember, think of our example as Jamaat as, living together in a family, close family members, and fighting with each other, hurting the Imam. And Imam is guiding us and saying that, yes, the guidance with unity is that the work of your institution will grow, the quality of work will improve. So we have to realize that Imam's hidayat is here. We may continue to complain about things, but we have to listen to Imam's farmans. When he says, we have to believe and we have to remain united. And then Imam is saying, my beloved spiritual children, I hope that in all the countries where there are difficulties at the present time, there will be peace in the years ahead. And whatever murids can do in those countries or outside to bring peace back to their countries, they should do so. Lastly, I give to each and every one of you, to your families, to your Jamaats, my best blessings for happiness, for long life, for the fulfillment of your wishes, for good health, for unity in your family, for unity in the Jamaat, for barakat and more barakat and mushkil asan. Khana vadan, khana vadan, khana vadan. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Imam's duashes for mushkil asan, for peace, for long life, fulfillment of our good wishes, and unity in Jamaat and unity in family. Imam, and I was just looking at Faramins, and there are so many Farmans where Imam has given us duashes for unity. If he is giving us dua, do we think they are not being fulfilled? Do we have disunity in Jamaat? I'm trying to make a point here that when Imam gives duashis, what does it mean? Whenever Mawla, who is Aklekul, Nafsekul, when he gives dua, it is done deal. There is no doubt about when he gives us, even, when he says that you will see my didar in Baitul Khyal if you sit in humility, it is a done deal. The problem is we are not sitting in the humility. Similarly, when Maula says Mushkil Asan, Barakat, all these duashes, his dua has power and his dua has fulfillment. If there are issues, disunity, we have created it. If there is mushkil, we have created it. Why? Because we have not listened to Imam's farman. So, unity in the family, Imam has given so many faramins. I'm going to skip this farman and go further because I would like to show you. We need to discuss some Quranic verses. So I will share, let me see if I can share the Quranic verses here. Surah An-Nisa, and this is the part, Wakana Amrullaha Mafhula. The last part, Wakana Amrullaha Mafhula. Look at what Allah says. And ever is the decree of Allah is accomplished. Whatever is His will, whatever He says, the commandment of Allah is always executed. And this tells us that when Mawla gives us farman, Mawla gives us duashes, there is no way that that duashes is not fulfilled. So why do we have mushkil, or why do we have disunity in Jama'at when it hurts Imam, right? We have to reflect on that. So all his hidayat, all his amar, all his duashes are immediately fulfilled. Then let's look at another one. 17 by 108. And they say, exalted is our Lord. Indeed, the promise of our Lord has been fulfilled. Whatever he, kana vadu rabbana la mafhula, whenever he makes a promise, he gives us duashes, it is fulfilled. But then why do we see disunity? Why do Imam keep taking on his body this pain that Jamaat is not united? And we have this Quranic verse where Khuda Ta'ala says that call upon me, I will respond to you. Indeed, those who disdain my worship will enter hell. When we do not obey the farman, we make this mushkil for us. We make our life hell. And Mola says, whenever you are in difficulty, Khuda Ta'ala says, the Noor of Khuda says that call upon me, I will respond to you. Do we find literally similar words in Shah Rahim's Farman as well? So why do we have problems there in our Jamaat? Why are we desiring to hurt our Imam? In this virtual didar of Imam, there were some friends who were saying, oh, Maula Bapal is very serious looking. When we reflect in this Farman of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah and we look at Imam's seriousness, are we able to understand that it reflects our status, that how we are Farman Bardar? If we are not in Farman Bardari, then how can we expect to please Imam, to become the pride of Imam? And Imam is always praising us, always, appreciating us and guiding us. But what are we doing? Are we really following the farmans of Imam or not? So let me share another screen. So what are the reasons when we have disunity in Jamaat? In the light of Quran, we saw that when he gives duashes, when he says something, it is literally done deal. But when we don't see the results of that, it is because of our weaknesses, our sins, and ours, na farman bardari. And especially because Imam's hidayat was related to having disunity in Jamaat and hurting him, I thought that we really need to reflect on that. And what I did, I took material from academicians, general information. This is not religious, but I said, let us discuss that when we have disunity in Jamaat, One part is very clear, it hurts Imam, but what does it do to Jamaat? What are the individual effects and what are the community effects? So this is just academic information, not from Farman, general discussion for us to have some material to reflect. So when I was reading the groups or families, when they have disunity, there is feeling of isolation. Individuals feel disconnected or isolated. There is no collective sense of belonging or support in that family. There is loss of trust. Due to disunity, there is loss of trust. And then there is increased stress and anxiety. Reduced sense of purpose. Sometimes due to this anxiety, loss of trust, feelings of isolation, because there is no oneness in the family, unity in the family. There is no sense of purpose. Why am I living my life? Questions like that arises within the family. Why? Because there is disunity in the family. And then let's look at the effects in the community. When we have in a community, in a given community, when there is disunity, there will be weak social cohesion, meaning the absence of unity weakens the social fabric of the community. People might only look out for their own interests, selfish living, because there is no working together for common good. And then, of course, there's conflict and division because everybody is trying to do what they want to do, right? And there is no communication, open communication. There is no shared values. There's misunderstandings, disagreements, constantly escalating. So there is division in that community, right? And these are the effect because there'll be more division, more conflict. Inability to address issues effectively. If there is a concern, there is a problem, they can't address it because there is no oneness. Loss of collective strength. There is, I get reminded of a Farman Imam Sultan Shah has given us, and we have studied that there was a group of people, there were like 100 people who were traveling with, their things, valuable things. And there were 3 men or 2 men who came and they actually looted the whole 100 people, each one of them, took all their valuables. And Imam says, tell me, why do you think it happened? There were 100 and these were only 3 people. Why were they successful? They were powerful over 100 people due to one reason. Because they were 100, they were more in numbers, but they were not united. And that's why 3 people were able, they were able to loot everything they had. So with that example, Imam was talking about unity. And today's Farman is very difficult Farman. Imam says, when you have no unity in you, it hurts me physically. We become the reason of Imam's unwell physical health, right? And these are the information which is available in, internet, that when a community does not have unity, there is loss of collective strength. So what would be long-term consequences? Decline in development. There is this negative cycle which continues to grow, which is actually reinforced by disunity. These are some of the effects which individuals in the families and in the community would find when there is no unity. So lack of unity in a community harms both the individual who are part of it and the collective whole. It creates emotional, social, functional challenges that can deeply affect mental health, stability, and long-term growth. Question is, do we see these things in our community? Do we see these things in our families? If we do, we are not being Farman Bardar of Imam. And these are the effects. These are the effects. If we are seeing that in the family and in the Jama'at. And we are falling into the category of Na Farman Bardar. Causes of disunity. So what are the causes? We have seen the effects. Again, this is general information, not from Farmans, but general information that what are the effects. Now we need to understand if we are agreeing in our heart there's a disunity in our family or in our Jamaat, what are the reasons? What gives growth to this unity in Jamaat? And the information available online, it says differences in beliefs or values. If there are differences in the beliefs and values, of course, it will lead to conflict. But this doesn't apply to Jamaat. We believe in Imam. We are Farman Bardar. We all love our Imam, and our tariqa is our life. Our Imam is our Jan, and that's what it is. We follow our Imam. So we should not have disunity, because this one big reason is not existing in our Jamaat. The reason is if there are differences in beliefs. Now, let me raise another point. When we talk about differences in beliefs, yes, we all are under Imam's umbrella. We follow the tariqah. But then there are differences in culture. We have different cultures within Jamaat, different ways of practicing our tariqah. And can that, due to lack of knowledge, lead to differences in values? We need to think about it. Then second point is lack of communication. Effective communication is the key. Do we have effective means of communication? And I was truly pleased by Shah Rahim. He sent us all the message online, technology. We all got one message. No difference to whole Jamaat. So we do not have lack of communication. We don't. Then this point, self-interest and competition. Do we see in our Jamaat that we are only working towards self-interest and we have worldly physical competition, or we want whole Jamaat to grow with us? Does it exist? Then the next point is inequality and injustice. Disparities in wealth, power, or opportunities can create feelings of resentment and division. In Jamaat, we get all the announcements, we have all the communication from institution, but within the pockets, within the units, small units in Jamaat, in Amal Daran, do we see that? Historical conflicts or trauma. We do know that Indo-Pak Jamaat was separate for many, many decades, 600 more plus years, and it is recent in Shah Karim's time. Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah was the one who sent Pir Sabzali to northern areas and borders of China. Then Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah was the one who sent Allama Hunzai to China to build Jamaat Khana. And then Shah Karim was the first Imam who gave Didar to all these Jamaats who have been separated for centuries. They were Ismailis from the Talimat of Pir Nasir Khusro, but they never had Didar. They were only following the teachings of the mother, Pir. They saw the Imam, it was Shah Karim, which was recent. So is there a historical conflicts or trauma? We need to think of that. Do we have leadership issues? Do we have lack of shared goals or vision? I don't think so. We have one goal. We have one vision, to serve the Imam, to be Farman Bardar. And do we have external influences or divisive forces? Cultural or ethnic divisions. We have very many ethnic groups following Imam in our tariqah. Fear and mistrust due to whatever reason. Lack of empathy and understanding. Changes in society or technology. Very valid point. And lastly, personal or family conflicts. These are the causes. And the reason to give all these reasons, we have to reflect and see, are we culprit in any position wherever we are, becoming the cause of disunity in our Jamaat? It's high time. Are we able to make those nicely, kindly, politely, who are in leadership position, be accountable? These are the causes of disunity, and we saw the effects. So in conclusion, we have to come back and realize that yes, today it is a Farman class, it is a Ilmi Majlis, but we discussed kind of, academic material about unity, effects of it, and causes of it. And we've been studying, farmans, and we know what Imam's faramins are. And today's farman was painful. It should make us very giryan that whenever we fight among our families or in Jamaat, we are hurting our beloved Imam. We are hurting our beloved Imam. And when we don't have knowledge, it will not be followed by actions. Our behavior will not change. And Imam wants us to be inclusive Jamaat. We have to include everybody, even our multi-faith family members. Imam has said that. And this farman was about Jamaat fighting, having conflicts, adawat among themselves, division among themselves. So there are so many points I have shared for us to reflect, because I can take an approach and make us all feel just guilty, guilty, guilty. Personally, I do not like to do that, because we are adults here, and adults should not be treated like children. We do know Imam's Faramin about ethics of Islam. We know what we are doing. Each one of us has to look into our own soul searching we need to do. How are we becoming Nafarman Bardar? Then our family as unit, are we fighting among ourselves? Do we have disunity? Are we able to resolve that with good communication, building trust and supporting each other? Then spread that to Jamaat, whoever we know. Any individual we touch in the Jamaat, can we be united? Can we be loving and caring, sharing same beliefs? We are under one Imam, we are one Jamaat. But we have different cultures, we have different ethnic groups, we have different, history. And two major branches we have, Pir Nasir Khusro's Jamaat, who is in majority, and then Pir Sadruddin's Jamaat. In our Jamaat Khana, how are we becoming inclusive for this Jamaat who is in majority? All these are very valid questions, and we really need to work hard to be Farman Bardar. We love our beloved Imam, and we do not want to hurt him. We do not want to give him any pain. At this note, I will end, but I would love to hear your reflections. We may not have questions, but how are you feeling? I would love you to share your reflections, please. Thank you.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. A lot to think about, Niamat Saiba, and basically for us to reflect, like you said, on how our behavior actually impacts Hazar Imam. Friends, if you have any questions, comments, reflections, please come forward. While we're waiting for friends to formulate some their reflections, as Hazar Imam is Imam ul-Nas, does that therefore mean that all the conflict that is going on in the world is having a similar impact on the Imam in terms of hurting the Imam?
Yeah, Imam is Imam ul-Nas, and logically, when we think of that, yes, all these wars and whatnot would hurt Imam, and Imam works so hard for humanity as well. But I believe that when Jamaat is in conflict, when Jamaat is in disunity, it hurts the most. Because think of it, that when we live within our families and we have conflicts, we may go out and work and do what we need to do and live our normal lives. But when we are thinking of our home, our family, come back to home, it is so painful. It is so much, difficult. So I would say that the bigger impact we have on Imam's being when we as Ismaili Jamaat are having disunity within us. But Imam is Imam Nas, so yes, we can say that it hurts Imam, and that's why Imam tells us, being his Jamaat, that live wherever you live, have good relations with the communities, be the better civic members of the society and country where you are living, be loyal to your country and abide by the laws of that country. Meaning that wherever we live, we have to live an exemplary life. Why do we do that? Why do we have to become so good? Because we love our Imam. And Imam works through us, that we are his Jama'at, and through us, Jama'at will be, the humanity will have less conflicts and problems. And I'm sure all of you must have experienced that wherever we go, and people may know us as Aga Khanis, and they will say, you people are very different. You are selfless. You work for everyone. Our volunteers will do work for anybody and everybody, for Jamaat as well as outside. We don't create this division. No, we are smiley volunteers. Wherever we live, in whichever country, we are volunteers for that country as well. If we are being called upon, we work. So Imam's work is through us. And when we are one as one Jamaat, it will have, this domino effect in our communities, our towns, our cities, and our countries. And that's how Imam will have, a feeling of oneness as we, being humans, uh, trying to live on this planet with happiness and comfort. So yes, it definitely, hurts Imam. There is no doubt about it. And Imam worked so hard for us. So it is just painful, Kareem. It is just painful. It hurts our being to think and say that we have been so naive. We have been so unaware with lack of knowledge, the way we live in our communities, and do not have this values of oneness. It can lead Imam to be hurting. And we never want our Imam to be hurting. We want to please our Imam.
Ji. We have a comment in the chat from Mina Saiba. It says, thank you for a great session. I agree about seeking knowledge from Ismaili scholars. And in another Farman, Hazar Imam says, enlightenment is validated in history. And if I'm remembering the Farman correctly, he talks about Mansur al-Haq, who was a Sunni. As we believe in one Allah, and since Imam is Imam for the humanity, it is possible we would provide knowledge. It is possible he would provide knowledge for true seekers, whether they're Ismaili or not. Hence, us knowledge seekers can benefit from reading about others like Mansur al-Hallaj as well. Are you able to share your thoughts? I would really appreciate it.
So thank you, Mina. Thank you for your reflection and thank you for your question. So I can tell that you are impressed by Sufism. Mansur al-Hajj, if you know the Faramins about Mansur al-Hajj, Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah's Farman, Haji Imam Shah Karim's Farman. So in the light of knowledge about Mansur al-Hallaj, who did this nara, right? He said, I am the truth, al-Haq, I am the Haq. In reality, yes, he was not Ismaili. He was Sufi. And when he said, I am the truth, actually, Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah has said that. And in the light of Quran, we can say that he was not right. Mansur al-Hallaj was not correct when he said, I am the truth. Because truth is only him, right? And yes, we get impressed by Sufism very much in Western countries because Rumi is also Sufi, and Sufis are very much promoted because in Western countries, we do know there is lack of this religious, or uh, deep spirituality is missing. So they find comfort in Sufism. And there are so many books which keeps coming, and Sufi schools are being formulated in Western countries and, workshops and whatnot. So I understand the impact when we live in the Western world. But in the light of Ismaili Talimat, Mansur al-Hallaj, yes, he saw the light. But when he said, I am the Haq, he was incorrect. He was incorrect in the sense that no Mu'min Sadiq will ever say, I am the truth. Imam is the Haq. Imam is the truth. It is due to lack of knowledge. Remember that knowledge is not just at one level. There are levels and levels of knowledge. So Mansur al-Hajj did see the light. He did elevate himself, but not to the stage where we would understand him, that he became fana with Imam, that what we talk about. So in Gujarati fana means, actually somebody asked me this question and I've gone into great detail, I think, about Mansur al-Hajj. So please do know that when we get impressed, and it is okay when we are reading outside books, but we have to reflect and understand in the light of Quran, Ginan, Farman, that do I really believe what I'm reading? And the key is always, the guidance is that you should become very well versed in the books of Ismailis. Ismaili scholars are Buzurgwar Deen. Become knowledgeable first, like have a standard, have a benchmark, and then go read outside. Nobody's stopping you to read outside, but have a standard to compare. So you will not be falsely impressed by something which is incomplete truth. I hope, Meena, I am making point. I hope I have answered. If not, I do want you to come back and ask me, please. Shukr. Thank you, Meena.
I have a direct question here, which is asking, the Jamaat is closest to the Imam, as you mentioned here. But what should we do when we get hurt by others? Like, how do we deal with it, but not hurt the Imam?
Very important, very valid questions. Very valid question. And next Saturday, I think next Saturday, I am doing a session on anger. So inshallah, I hope to see you all there. But the point I'm trying to say here, that it is difficult. It is difficult that we do have disagreements in our families and somebody has hurt us. And the way we read about the causes of disunity, one of the causes is lack of communication. And communication is a skill which has to be learned. Communication is a skill which has to be learned. Without learning how to communicate, and I'll give you one tiny example. In the family, if we have, children or spouse doing something which is, you don't like it, and you are trying to keep things neat and tidy, and then they keep messing it up, and become nagging, don't do that, don't do that, don't do. There will never be a change. Always conflict, always bad attitude, and hurt feelings, because the intention may be right and correct. You want things to be neat, but then the way you are saying, it's nagging. That does not help anybody change their behavior or listen or have love in the heart for each other. It is nagging. So intentions were right. Somebody will say, oh, my intention was right, I was trying to keep things neat, but your way of talking, communicating is so hurtful, so degrading, that the person in front of you feels very sad, very hurt, and does not want to talk to you. So in the family now, we have silence. There's no communication. Simple thing. I want to keep things clean. I want to keep things on the place. The point I'm trying to highlight is not knowing how to communicate. Now, communication is a skill which is taught outside. How to set boundaries, how to communicate, how to be, all these are skills which have to be learned. Why don't we learn that? If we realize that my intentions are right, but I keep hurting my family members, I am doing something wrong and I need to learn. Have we taken any initiative to learn? Now, one can say, oh, this person never listens to me. They're always mean to me. I work so hard to keep things clean and tidy, and this person keeps doing that. And I am so hurt and I'm so fed up and I'm so tired. I just don't want to be with them. Do you relate to this mental dialogue? Or my life is full of sorrows. I will remain hurt because nobody loves me or nobody cares about me. I have to just keep doing, keep cleaning. Do we relate to this dialogue? So if you understand what I'm saying, that if we are hurting and we are not understanding the root of the hurt is our own behavior due to lack of knowledge of how to communicate, who needs to work hard to improve? And the second answer would be that if you are thinker, knowledgeable, then you will work hard on improving your communication first, and then the step of forgiving others. But when we forgive without improving, looking into our own self, right? In Urdu, we say, apne gireban mein jaan kar dekho. There's an idiom that first look into yourselves, reflect. What did you do? Then the next step would be to actually forgive them. But when we don't look into ourselves, we say, oh, I want to forgive them. But there is behind that scene, there is resentment. There is anger building. And where there is resentment, there cannot be love. There cannot be oneness because there is resentment. So these things are worldly things, and world teaches us how to understand emotions and how to understand communications and behaviors. Have we taken effort to learn about how to communicate? So yes, we need to forgive, but the way you forgive, that we have to have clean slate. But then on the other hand, there's another layer of it, that if you are not wrong, if you are communicating correct, and the person in front of you is, abusive in one ways or the emotional abuse, psychological abuse, whatever abuse is there, and they are not willing to learn, and then you continue to give in and forgive, then you are in a cycle of abuse. Then you also need to learn to how to stop that abuse. Separation, going different ways, that's not the key. We have to learn and understand. Compromise, follow the dini talimat, along with that worldly talimat in this aspect. I would highly emphasize that to learn these things, so we become better communicator, better understanding of psychology of people. So we have better relationship in the family, setting boundaries. These are terms which has come today, to be able to deal with different personalities in our family, in our Jama'at, in our leaders, because it trickles down to the higher level. And each one of us is coming with cultural baggage of, what we have learned from our parents or grandparents. It has to be, the things which are wrong in us has to be unlearned, and new things have to be learned. Not point blanket saying that, oh, these people have hurt me, I need to continue to forgive them because I don't want to hurt Imam. Yes, that's a right thinking, but then there is more to it to fix. Nobody is telling you to stay in the circle of abuse. That's not correct either. Imam does not want you to do that. Imam wants us to be happy. And then it is not fair with the other person if you are the one who is, due to lack of understanding, lack of communication skills, are thinking I am a victim and everybody mistreats me. This victim mentality is also incorrect, and it comes from lack of knowledge. So answers are not that simple and easy. So do not use religion as a pacifier. There's a knowledge we have to seek and understand to be able to become better Ismailis, better family member, better Jamati member, better leaders, better Amaldaran, and better civic citizen in the countries where we live. Yes, I see this comment. आप ये class Gujarati में कर सकती हैं. I think it is an important class, and I think I agree with you, Nurjan. And I think we can talk about it and make it more simpler and easier, so we can discuss this. Inshallah, with your prayers, Nachiz will try. Time ka muqabla sakht.
We have a follow-on question to your response to Mina Saiba. It says, but Juma Bhagat said, when Imam Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah asked about their experiences, he said he sees himself as Imam.
Very good question. Thank you. Thank you for asking. So one example was Mansur al-Hajj, and second example is Rahim Basaria or Juma Bhagat. I think Rahim Basaria is the right example, not Juma Bhagat. But let me draw that difference because it's so important. When Rahim Basaria was asked in Baitul Khayal Mandli, Imam asked that, what do you see? Tell me, who has seen the Noor? And then Rahim Basaria raised his hand. And then when Imam asked, what do you see? Then he said, I see myself at your place. What does that mean? At Imam's place. But look at the difference. I am the truth, Mansur Allah saying, and Rahim Basaria saying, I see myself at your place. They both are saying the same thing. One is within the Jama'at in front of the Imam with humility when asked several times, he responds. Mansur Allah went out and he started yelling, I am the truth, I am the truth, as if he said, I am the God, I am God. A smiley moment with the Imam's guidance and talimat. Definitely, there is not one example of Rahim Basaria or just one name. There are very many names. In fact, if I'm recalling it right, Wazir Rimu, Imam has given the name, said that he's from Ahle Bayt. Do we only know about Salman Farsi? If you read Kalam-i Imam-i Mubin, you will read about Rahim Basaria, Wazir Rimu, his son. Imam has said that they are from Ahle Bayt. Have you read Farmans to know that there were members who reached to that level in Jama'at, reached to that level of Salman Farsi, and Imam has said that they were like Ahle Bayt? But no, we don't know about them. We only know what is popular because we have not studied, right? Lack of knowledge. Not reading Farmans. How can we go even other books? We have not read Farmans. So, yes, I'm not saying that one cannot become one with Imam. Oh, they can. And there are Mu'minins who are one with Imam. But you will never see them saying that because there is this important factor of humility. We remain the slave of Imam. He is our master, he is our Aka. In Batin, one can become one. And then you continue to become, follow the guidance of Imam and give, work for the Jamaat. I have current example, Allama Nasiruddin Hunzai. He completed his Isma Azam. He became one. He became Fana with Imam. But all his life, what he called himself? I'm a dog, he said. I'm a dust under the feet of Mominins. This is, if you hear the people saying this, I'm the dust under the feet of Mominins, I'm Nachis. This is all coming from Allama Nasiruddin Hunzai. So Imam has called him teacher. He became teacher, not more than that. So yes, you're absolutely correct that not one, but there are very many examples in our Jamaat, Bhagat Kararura, Bayezid Bustami is also now later on known that he was, Crypto Smiley and was one with Imam. So we need to understand all these things in the light of knowledge. But Mansur al-Hajj was in wrong. Please know that. He was in wrong. Any moment who says that I am knowledgeable and I am so-and-so and I can answer all the questions, they are saying, look at me, I am somebody. The true moment in the light of knowledge, in the light of Talimat and Faramin Mubarak, they will always remain humble. Always remain humble. To the extent, if the questioner is asking a high-level question, they might say, let me find out, I don't know. Why would they do that? To remain humble, because they do not want anyone to think that they are somebody. They want to remain humble in true, practical ways to protect themselves from the traps of the carnal soul, as well as remain obedient to Imam Zaman. These are very, very important elements, factors which we have to understand to assess. Again, we have to have benchmark our own knowledge to be able to see things in the light of knowledge, in the balance of the light of knowledge.
Can I say just something, please?
Ji, bilkul, bilkul.
It's just that, like, going back to the problem we have in Khane sometimes with some individuals or whatever kriyas or the council. You know what I do now? I just take a whole salwa tasbih for them. I tell Mola Baba, help me and help them.
Ameen. Subhanallah.
So we just try to just pray more for those people because they've come into our life as a test or something, and we have to go through it. So just accept them and pray more, I feel. I just wanted to share that.
That is a very beautiful approach. I love that approach. I teach that approach because when we are in that situation, you are right that they are in our lives and we have to do what we need to do. It's hard, but we will do it with happiness and we will pray for them because prayers have power. So Mubarakbad, you're doing very good.
I try. I'm not succeeding all the time. It's
We have to
difficult.
keep trying. Yes, we are weak beings. As humans, we are weak, but we keep trying so we can become an angel and we continue to do that. So thank you, Mubarakbad, for continuing to try. Do that.
Friends, any other questions, comments before we close the session? Thank you, Niamat Saiba, once again for a wonderful session. You've given us a great deal to think about and reflect on. Thank you, friends, for joining, and inshallah, we'll start new Farman 45 next week. Thank you, Yali Madad.
Yali Madad, Yali Madad.
थैंक यू आपा, थैंक यू, बहुत अच्छा सेशन था, हमें समझ में
Shukran.
आया, मगर मेरे जैसे दूसरी भी लेडीज है जो समझने से कासिर है, तो इसलिए मैंने आपसे रिक्वेस्ट की थी, अगर हो सके तो कर लीजिएगा।
हाँ,
थैंक यू
बिल्कुल,
वेरी मच।
हाँ, टाइम
आप बहुत
लगेगा।
अच्छा करती, बहुत अच्छा समझाती है,
शुक्र मौला,
और
थैंक यू।
बहुत समझ में बहुत आता है, मगर कोशिश करते आगे बढ़े आपकी तरफ, इंशाल्लाह। आप दुआ में रखना में।
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward and sharing. Thank you. I truly like it. Yali Madad.
याली मदद, याली मदद,
Yali Madad. Yali Madad. Yali Madad.
Yalimadat, lovely section, very nice, very
Shukran.
understanding and very deep.
Shukran Mola. Thank you. Yali Madad.
Mola Yalimadat.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad. Yali Madad.